Now the audio stopped working.
OBS is a pile of shit.
There you go, legends. Morning, afternoon, whatever. OBS shit the bed once again. Just as I fired up the stream, I noticed there was no signal on the little bar graph, even though it was working fine 5 seconds prior. That's OBS for you, open source. Can't complain because it's free. So you might like a little taste of the amp that I've been blabbing on about. Just get rid of the interface. In your face. So this was a little amp that I built, 5E3-ish. I made the cabinet from hardware store pine, solid. Covered it with tweed and shellacked the tweed. I mixed up some shellac flakes, gave it about 3 coats inside and out. It's finger joined solid pine cabinet. I made it in my home workshop. It's got a 9mm ply everywhere for simplicity. So the front panels there and there, 9mm ply. Back panel's 9mm ply. And the baffle is 9mm ply. I've forgot the most important part. My little leather badge. So it is not vegan friendly. So a while back I got some stamps made up. Ooh, did I bring them here? They're pretty cool to look at. Thought I brought them here. Yeah, there they are. So there's a company in, I think it was Thailand, called Hex and Hit. Weird name for a company. I think it maybe lost in translation a bit, but that's their symbol there, a little punch, a fist. There's the little brass tacks I use to put it on, in addition to a little bit of silicone there just to hold it in place. But here's the stamps. Now these are CNC machined with whatever logo you want to send them. I think it had to be an EPS file or something. You can see it's a mirror image there. So you give them what stamp you want and they make the little brass thing. You can see it's like, I don't know, 1/2 inch brass there, and it's got a little receiver on the back that you screw in another rod they give you that fits into, here it is, it comes with the kit, that screws into there, and then you put it in your soldering iron. Now I purchased their soldering iron as well because it was like, I don't know, 20 bucks, and that's my Hakko one that I also use for chassis. I don't know how genuine it is. It's got mains potential on the tip, so it may be a rip-off, but I got 2 sizes because I was going to make guitar straps as well, and this was going to be my brand for guitar straps. And I use this when I put a logo on a larger amp valence, like a Marshall style build, or on the grill itself. I'll put a piece of backing ply, or I'll just selectively route out, because let's zoom out a bit, because this baffle, it's 9mm ply, but it's got a lip around the edge. It's about 1 inch wide, and it's about 3 or 4mm thick. That suspends the grill, so it doesn't flap around. You can see that, you probably can't see it there, but it's bouncing up and down on that. And the grill needs room to move, otherwise you get flappy noises when you're playing heavily of the grill flapping against the baffle. And I wonder how many DIY builders have only discovered that once it's too late. So the grill is sort of suspended in midair and allowed to move a bit without flapping against the front. So when I do that, if I do a modern style cabinet, I'll send the drawings to my brother. I'll design the baffle out of say 15mm, and then we'll pocket out this whole area, but we'll leave a lip around the edge, so the baffle comes off finished, drilled, everything. If I'm doing a traditional build, I'll make it by hand. I'll just get the 9mm ply and I'll actually machine some timber and staple and glue that on around the edge before painting it black, and that's keeps with the handheld look, hand-built look. With a more modern style cab, I'm quite happy to embrace CNC technology if it reduces the workload. So on the bottom, got your Fender Sphinx feet, just to keep with the Fender theme. Let's flip her over. So all of these, I drew some plans for these. They're available online. I think I put them up on Tube Amp Builder's site or something on Facebook. They're also on the Evatco website. I did some with their branding, their logos on there. I've got this cabinet made for the 5E3 chassis that they sell, because obviously it helps them sell the chassis if you've got the plan there to build the cabinet yourself. And I also did one which just has a smaller control cutout, so you can use a Champ chassis and a 12-inch driver large cabinet. At the moment I'm doing a dedicated 8-inch Champ drawing as well, so that should get that finished maybe this weekend or next. So let's crack her open and have a quick look. Haven't got too much time to waste, but now all these screws are machine screws, and they go into threaded inserts which I've inserted into the pine cleats, because I wanted to use pine everywhere to keep it light, but pine doesn't take screws well. So I put some threaded inserts into the soft pine, and now it's got steel machine threads for all the screws. The only ones that it doesn't are the handle screws, because they're wood screws and they're pretty chunky, and the feet. Everything else that you're going to actually take off and, you know, maintain the thing, I've used machine thread inserts. Right, so we've got everything's sealed. There's no raw timber anywhere as well. I don't like that because mold can get in there and start growing in the timber, and things can move around. So I shellacked everything inside and out, and on both sides of the panel. Here we've got our grounding foil there. That cuts the noise down quite a bit. We've got basically our standard 5E3 circuit. On this one I wanted to be as close as original to the circuit topology as possible, as close to original. Okay, I can't speak today. So most of the changes here are obvious stuff like the heaters. We don't run 12 volt heaters in this because that's an easy way to cut down the hum. Just balance them and run them on 6.3 volts, elevate them. I've done artificial center tap elevated by the cathode. It gives you some free heater elevation, and mostly it's just value changes. The only thing that actually has a separate component other than the heater circuit is I've just added a grid stopper to the phase inverter input, and that, if you're going to do any mod to your 5E3 to make it more guitar friendly, do that one. Play with the value, but mostly it's just value changes, just to like tailor the thing to a guitar frequency range instead of a full range like the originals. Because at the time that these were made, Fender made a lot of different musical instruments, and the Deluxe was the amp that they wanted you to be able to plug pretty much anything in that they could sell you, and have it work. Bass guitars, accordions, whatever they could sell. So it wasn't necessarily a guitar amp at the time, is what I'm saying. So now pretty much everyone uses it for guitar, so why not tailor the frequency response for guitar? So that's what I've done. The next one, and I am going to build another one, is going to be a little bit less traditional. slightly different topology, different grounding scheme. We're going to go the whole hog on that one and see how good we can get it. We're going to get rid of the crosstalk between the channels, the interaction between the two channels. We're going to make it a little bit more modernized. Separate cathodes for the V1, possibly some little secret mods like maybe negative feedback mod. I kind of like that, how wild these things are though, so I don't know about that. Possibly solid state rectification switch to bypass the valve rectifier. The biggest thing with these ones tone wise is the speaker. So because you're pushing the speaker pretty hard, say if it's a 20 watt speaker or something, that would be getting a bit of cone breakup. This one currently kind of doesn't have that, because I had an N12K, which is the neodymium Jensen speaker that Fender put in their Tone Master. I think all of them. In the Twin there's 2 of them, so they're 100 watt rated. In the Deluxe Reverb it's 100 watt rated, but it's 22 watt amp. But they're really light, and I kind of don't like the tone of, I kind of don't mind the tone of this one. I've tried the C12Ks, not impressed at all. Top ends, most of the Jensen's range, it's all got a real harsh top end, real spiky. It's like one objectionable frequency, like I don't know, 4K or something, just always seems to really stand out above the rest of the frequency range. And it's okay when you're playing clean, but when you start introducing more harmonics as you distort the signal, those spikes really stand out, and it's really harsh and almost unlistenable. So I tend to go towards WGS drivers for Fender type circuits, where you're getting most of the overdrive from the output stage as you push it hard. Now my preferred driver for this build probably would have been a WGS G12Q. That's a 20 watt driver, 12 inch obviously, but there was none in stock at the time that I started building this, and some have come in now, but in the meantime I'll put this one in, and I'm kind of happy with it. I might leave this one in. But if we want to change the speakers, all the holes on the baffle as well have threaded inserts, so we can swap speakers till the cows come home, and we won't degrade the baffle at all. So it was sort of designed for tweaking and playing with, without degradation of the cabinet that you often get with cheaper amps like chipboard stuff and whatever. So anyway, that's my fabric work. Everything's nice and tight. The shellac helps hold it in place. What you find is when you do tweed, it's really nice and tight. All the corners are real sharp and good, but over time the corners sort of come out a little bit, and everything, you might start getting a little bubble right there on the lip as it struggles to hold its form over that curve there. The shellac really holds it in place. It locks all those fibers together. If you rip this off now, it would remember the shape that it was in, and it would go back to that shape even without the pine. But this new glue that I use, it's literally, you couldn't get that off if you wanted to. So that's exactly what I'm going for. Everything feels tight and nice and beautiful, and I love the look of this thing. This is going to be my amp forever, I think, because I don't even own an amp at the moment that's not for sale. Like, how fucking lame is that? So I think this is the amp that makes you a better player, and God knows I need that. So I'm going to hang on to this thing forever, I reckon. Pass it down to whoever's around when I'm dead. They won't know what it is, and it'll end up in the trash. So yeah, I'm going to take this one home, I reckon. I've got it on display at the shop for the meantime until I build the second one, and then I'll put that one in the shop, and that'll have all the bells and whistles. Part of the reason I want to do that is because I want to showcase mods that people ask for, just to see if they really want that, because often you do the mods and everything's cut and dry, you know, like give me a no negative feedback mod, alright? So there's no, like, you know, it's either there or it's not. But then they don't like it, so they get you to change it back. I'd like them to know what happens first before we enact the mod. So I'd like to have an amp here with all those mods switchable somehow, discreetly, not switches just hanging out of the front panel. But like things like, I want to put I'm thinking about that for this as well, a 1 in 10 power switch. But instead of a switch, we've got 2 jacks there. Because it's a combo, you almost never use the second jack. So what we can do is make that second jack switched, so it switches in and out an attenuator that's got some like 50 watt chassis mounted resistors in that gap there you just saw where next to the transformer. So if you plug into one jack, you get like a 1 watt output. You plug into the other jack, you get your 15 watt output. So you got your bedroom mode and you got your live mode, and it's not hard to get in here and just move the jack over to the other, the plug over to the other jack. Things like that that from the outside you don't even know it's there, but those in the know about the amp's configuration, you can swap stuff around and make it very versatile. Yeah, 3 coats of shellac, lads. That's what it was. Oh, Jesus. So there's the top. Just usual controls. Now, if you're going to hide more stuff in these, the other thing I might do is have pull pots, right? So, or the other thing, maybe switch jacks over here, could do something different. I like the idea of hiding all these features instead of just going and drilling holes and putting friggin' toggle switches there. From the outside, I want it to be a sleeper. It looks like a standard amp. You turn it on and it's a monster. I really like that idea. This one's got a standby switch because it's just in the chassis. I'd never use that, it's always on. So that would be another opportunity to have some kind of mod. Something that you'd use quite often, or possibly a master volume. But at the moment, because it's got the standby tag there, I'm just using it as a standby. I don't like the idea of having another label there. The aesthetics was the main goal in this one, and the sound as well, of course, but I don't want it to look visually anything other than it was supposed to be what it is, you know, instead of throwing tags and switches and stuff on there and extra labels and whatever. Anyway, here's that one. I'll get rid of that and we'll start doing some work today. I've got quite a bit to get through. That's part of the reason I haven't been doing any videos, just been too busy. So, doesn't this look good? An empty bench. It's a blank slate, ready for us to fulfill your dreams. So what are we going to do? I've got 3 Messa Boogies. Do we want to punish ourselves with Messa Boogies? Not really. Got a high watt that just came in. I'm closed for repairs till March, but a few people are out of towners and they're in the area, and they just said, look, I'll drop the amp off. You look at it when you can look at it. So I said, look, you literally won't have an answer until maybe the 2nd week of March, and they were cool with that. So I'll stick them in the storeroom. But in the meantime, I can't really look at them because there's too much in the queue. Alright, this isn't really a repair. I'm just going to assess what part I need. So we've got a broken off treble knob on the 2nd channel of this Studio Color Bar DC2, is it? So let's undo this thing. Yeah, this is one I modified for the customer a while back. Put a mercury transformer in it for 240 volt. And we did some voicing changes. So essentially opened up the top end a bit. I did a video on this, I think, when we first did it, but yeah. So now it's just in for the jack. There's nothing else wrong with it. Hi again.
Hey. Just need like 2 kilos of vacuum.
Yeah, that'll do it. 2 bags. I think he's already bagged them up.
I'll take them in for the next stop here.
Yep. Can I just open the windows for your car a bit? It's 40 odd degrees here today.
It's already 38.
38 outside already, and it's 11 AM. So I'm in here with my haircon being a little bitch. I don't have this pot, but one of my customers I think might have a spare, so I might hit him up. It's very unlikely, but there is a possibility that those bags of Messa branded pots he has might have the one that we're after, and then we can put the original part in there and I can sort something out with him payment wise. Where's my phone? Just take a photo to remember which way the reverb jack's going. Alright, so how is everyone today? It's like the spring retainers on these have gone walkabouts. It's the holes for them, but there's no retainer. Oh, there's the knob. Brad's BO garage. Yeah. I was wondering if I should change my branding, because I do more than just guitar stuff now. Kind of always did. -6 in Ontario. I don't know how you deal with that weather, eh? I'll just go into a little cocoon and not come out till summer. Yeah, I love the leather, Jesse. I started getting into leather working around, I don't know, 2016 or something. I just went through this real creative phase where I wanted to make everything, you know. Wanted to weld things, make furniture out of metal, make leather stuff, holsters for multimeters, and so I bought a bunch of leather and some leather working tools and stuck with it for a bit, but it's just a hobby. I've got too many bloody hobbies. Photography and videography is my sort of main hobby at the moment, trying to do storm photography. We're expecting severe storms maybe this afternoon, which we've been without for a good couple of weeks now. So hopefully that materialises and I'll piss off and try and get some lightning shots, because that holy grail lightning shot I've tried for my whole life, I still haven't got it. No drop frames today, that's good. There's no office workers in the area watching Netflix while they should be working, so the internet's rather well today. Yeah, I said rather. We've got that little jazzy springy thing that contacts the foil on the top of the cabinet. Alright. Yeah, I think there was some PCB burn damage to this one, so I moved some grid stoppers off the board. Let's take these valves out before we smash them, eh? Messa branded valves, as if they make them. They don't make valves. How's it going, Scotty? Ooh. Someone's been spraying stuff in here, it wasn't me. It's like a oily residue in the bottom of the chassis. The plot thickens. Where's the pot casing? Oh fuck, there it is. Right. So, it's more than just it's not a snapped off shaft. I hope there's been no collateral damage because of this, but down inside there, you can't see. Need more light. Okay, let's go manual. Yeah, we're in manual mode. Cool. Alright, let's hit that. We'll go down to Iris. G'day, Iris. There we go, look at that in all its horrible noisy glory. Oh man, that thing goes bright. So down in there, look at my hand. Whoa. You can see the shaft of the pot is pushed through. Like that's just the wafer floating around now. So I can push that pot shaft out and the wiper is actually coming with it. So the pot casing is flown off, so that's been an end hit. So it's, let's take the nuclear blast video gain down there a bit. Something's hit end on the knob. However, how could that happen when you've got a knob installed? So I think someone's been playing with this, because if you hit the knob, there's only 1 mil of movement there. In fact, the knob bottoms out against the nut. You can see the nut behind it. So the only way that could have physically got damaged is if the knob was taken off and then the end was hit, punched in. And then in the back of the amp chassis we can see the pot casing floating around. Probably shorted stuff out. Yeah, so this board was cooked from memory. I moved some stuff off the board. I think someone else had a go at it as well, so there was some damaged pads, and these pads basically aren't pads on Messa Boogies, they're just tubes. So we could probably repair that pot, but the fact that there's that much residue in that area means there's probably something wrong with this pot. Someone's tinkered with it until they've completely fucked it. So I want to ask this customer if that was him, be honest, no shame, or if someone else has done this, because really if that's another tech that's flooded this thing with some unknown residue, it doesn't smell like anything, trying to repair a pot and then they've destroyed the pot entirely, that's no good. That thing's flooded with some hardened grease as well, so whatever was used was not suitable either. Don't you love getting stuff that other people have worked on? There's no way I would have left this let this leave my shop with that residue everywhere if it was there when it came in the first time. So we could probably repair this pot, put the back casing back on it, but I might just see if I can get a newie. Punched in knobs are the best knobs. I'm with you, Jack. Yeah, probably could repair this. Just really confused as to why it's punched in. Right, well I've got the part number now, it's on the back of this pot casing. I know Tube Amp Doctor sell their original Messa ones in various values, but I checked a few days ago and they were out of stock with no ETA. As is almost fucking everything this year. Out of stock, no ETA. It's 2023 for you. But I've got to stop saying things like that, because some douchebag in the comment section said that I'm negative and I'm angry because I must have been abused as a child. That was his words. So what makes someone type that? It's projection. This guy seriously has some issues. So I'm trying to be positive and super happy. Everything's awesome. Okay, you don't come here for me to show you faults with amps. You come here because I can tell you that everything's awesome. Why the fuck would I have a job if everything was awesome? It's my job to show broken shit, dickhead. Anyway, some people are fucked in the head. I'm going to put my little light shield. I've just noticed you are getting blinded by the strip light up there. So I've got this little thing with a bit of Velcro, and I put it over the ghetto as I know. I put it over the webcam so it shields it from the light like a lens hood. Here we go. That's a bit better. Now you're just getting blinded by the ring light. Alright, so I've got the pot casing. I'll check that on Tube Amp Doctor. Or bugger it, let's do it right now. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of hate mail on YouTube recently. I don't know what the deal is there. I like to think my videos are pretty objective, but I don't know. Could be troll accounts, but they seem to be legitimate accounts. So I'm not sure what the deal is there. Part of the reason I haven't been real keen on making videos because you put in all this work and then you've just got some fuckwit that tells you you're a dickhead and you should die. Thanks, mate. I hope you're having a good day too. There's some seriously mentally ill people in the comment section of YouTube. I was thinking about just disabling comments, but then your videos don't get any hits, so. Tube Amp Doctor. Messa Pottknob, I think they say in German. Potentiometer, there we go. What's the taper? It's got the Messa part number, fucked if I know. I'm gonna have to look up the schematic, I think. What's it say on the wafer? Nothing. Alright, what's the resistance on the wafer? We can just we can test the resistance straight off the wafer, I guess. Let's do that. Yeah, I get a lot of people just saying that I'm too negative. I'm down on every bit of gear that comes in and everything. I think everything's shit. I am showing problems with amplifiers or devices or instruments to make you aware. How do I word this? I'm saving you money. I'm here to save you money for nothing in return. And if you think that that's a bad thing, well, go and spend your money on shit. I don't give a fuck, really. It's not my money. You can spend it on whatever you want, but I am trying to give you some advice to make your dollar go further. And some people don't seem to like that. They want to buy with their eyes instead of their brain. DC2, Richard. Right. So we can test it directly on the wafer. I'm never too hard on Messa Boogie. You can't be too hard on Messa Boogie. People just, I guess it's buyer's remorse. They get upset when they see text, and I'm not the only one. It's not just me. They get upset when they see text badmouth Messa Boogie because they bought one and now they're upset that they bought one, but they don't want to admit it because they're a child in the head. Alright, so that is 1 meg. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I reckon the reason that they're fucked with this thing from day dot is because it's got a loose rivet. That was at 1 meg a second ago. And you manipulate it and the resistance changes. So here they sort of rivet, not rivet, but they fold over the connections and they get loose and they get corrosion between the conductive wiper, which is there, and the actual contact, you know, the eyelet. So I reckon the whole reason this pot was fucked with was just because that was loose. That's the 250k pot, and all we have to do is go to the halfway mark on the taper, and that's about. I'll show you the meter, eh? That'd be nice. Fuck. Zoom out a bit, you know, camera kung fu. Hey James, how you going? So we'll put the meter on one end, meter on the other. Right, what do we got? About 250k, 200k, whatever. That's got some of my hand resistance there because I'm touching both leads, so that'd be 250k. About that, it's varying. 250, and then put your probe on the halfway point on the track itself. And we're about halfway, 125ish. You move it back and forward, and it'll change. See that? That's me being a pot wiper. So because we're at the halfway point, we're about half resistance, we know that that is a linear pot, so we're looking for a 250k linear. So let's look that up. Just might be able to share my screen here. Let me see if I'm going to dox myself by accident. No, looks good. Desk share. Tube amp doctor. If it wasn't for the postage, I'd use them for everything. Postage is a motherfucker from these guys to Australia. A1 meg, A250k. So A means logarithmic. We don't want A, we want B. B250k. Hello. B100k, B100k. B250k. Here we go. That's the part. That's the part we want. €5.39, so that's like $10. And no stop. So this is the situation with fucking everything at the moment. I'm having so much trouble getting jobs out the door because the parts are just out of stock. You just can't get them. They can't even tell you when you're going to get them. Oh, thanks James. Guess what? Have a beer on you. I just sent you a little something that'll help you have a beer on yourself. If that means anything. It's a secret. You'll find out when it turns up. But yeah, that's just me being negative and whinging again, so I should quit my job and go work as a janitor, according to some YouTube commenter. Because I hate my job and I hate my life. Apparently. That's what people tell me. Apparently people on YouTube know more about how you feel about yourself than you do, because they tell you your psychological problems. Fucking hell. And then you look at their channel. This channel has no content. Every fuckwit commenter on YouTube, you look at their channel, this channel has no content. Well, show us how it's done, you fucking genius. How about that? Nah, you're just a shit talking cockhead. So let's put this one aside, and what do we want to do next? Do we want to just do a Hot Rod Deluxe? I wanted to do a video on it, kind of. Nah, we'll just get it out of the way, eh? Alright, put this one aside. Oh, can't forget the pot casing. I will get that part number. I will send them an email. Inform me as soon as this product is available again. Yes, I will. Send me an email, Tube Amp Doctor. I will buy that pot. Please confirm your request. Oh, I should have just logged in. Fuck's sake. Thanks, Steve. There's other guys out there that are good too. We just have the best character, don't we? Lyle's not here today, he's busy. I missed his live stream, so he's paying me back. Alrighty then. Whew. I've got all the lights in the shop turned off. Try and keep it cool, but also fly under the radar. So the only way you're going to know that I'm here is if you watch YouTube. I'm going to start working on a Deluxe Reverb tonight. Are you building one, James, or are you repairing one? I love a good Deluxe Reverb. Who doesn't love a good Deluxe Reverb? Everyone loves them. Even the chuggers. I'm going to take this chassis fully out because I want to clean the thing thoroughly and inspect it. Good customer of mine is a professional muso, so we've been given the go ahead to make this one bulletproof. Its main gigging amp and some voicing changes. He's already upgraded the speaker to one that I recommended, the great ET65 from Warehouse Speakers, WGS. So that's a big plus. That's going to help us a lot. But I'm also going to control the bottom end a little bit on this thing to make the overdrive a little bit more usable. And then we're going to play with the gain of the input stage. Now, he did buy one of these things on my advice also from the UK. They're about 30-40 bucks. Where am I? Right here. Oh god, camera's not good. So this thing plugs into the power amp in, preamp out junction. I'll show you in a second. But it's essentially master volume. Turns this into a full-time master volume in the effects loop. And that allows you to make the controls a lot less touchy. The biggest problem with these things is their gain structure, where there's just too much gain. And when I say gain, I'm not talking distortion, I'm talking gain. It's two different things. So when people reference gain, they often refer to the amount of distortion, because a lot of amplifiers have written on the preamp gain control gain. What's happening is something further downstream is distorting, and as you give it more gain, you get more distortion. In a clean amp like this, well, on the clean channel anyway, a lot of gain just means you're firing a lot of signal at the output stage very early on in the pot travel. So the control is very touchy, and you're almost going to full clean headroom at like 2 on the volume control, and everything above that is just starting to slam the output valves into distortion. So less clean headroom as you push it. So all your clean headroom is between 0 and like 1 or 2, and it's not very intuitive to adjust. It's very, very touchy. Steve, thanks for the $10, mate. Bloody legend. I'll say that'd buy me another coffee, but we're not going for a walk to the coffee shop today because I've already had 2, and I've had 2 shots in the first one and 3 shots in the second one. So repairing one for a new customer. I met them at Beatles cover band concert. Cool. Well, you know, sometimes with the first customer, particularly if they're a working muso, you go out of your way to go the extra mile for them, to lock them in for life, because often a customer has been screwed over by a few techs by the time they come here, and I like to make the experience as positive as possible after that, to reinstill their faith in techs, because there's a lot of pirate fuckwits out there that we need to work extra hard to maintain the reputation of a valve amplifier technician. Says the man that can't find the screw. There it is. Can't find the screw. Story of my life. So I'm undoing the chassis ones into the side, which for some reason are like 2 inches long. Not quite, but yeah, longer than the others. And what often is the case is these little ears that hold onto the chassis are bent outwards a bit from over tightening the screws, so they try and rip up the pieces of foil on the outside of the inside of the sides of the cabinet, which I'll show you now. Undo the shitty speaker cable, which I'll replace. That's a standard now. I just replace that on everything. Every Hot Rod Deluxe that comes in, I change the speaker cable because it fails quite often as well. I've just got a bit of a Works Burger template quote now that I just use for every one of these amps that comes in, just to give them a guide. Often they're asking for a quote before the amps come in and before I've inspected it. So I've just got that as sort of a worst case, sort everything out quote. And if they're happy with that, we do the full Works Burger. Now we can tell someone's been in here before. Let's get the screws together and get my poop in a group. The handy dandy Chinese containers. Yeah, so we might be able to talk about a few things on the Deluxe Reverb there, James, if you want to shoot me an email if you get stuck. Is it a reissue or? Alright, so the cord on this, I don't know how you get a cord this bad. That's probably one of the worst I've seen, particularly a modern moulded cord. Some of the old ones you get them like that. I think that's from winding it up like around your wrist or whatever, and you can see these bulges in the cable. So that's dangerous, that's a fire hazard. Those bulges are actually the wire being bunched up in a little section there, and that risks either getting a break and forming a potential high resistance point that would generate heat and melt the wiring and then short out from active to neutral or ground. And they're all the way through the cord. You can see these little bumps. That's where the wiring's passing over each other, and that's dangerous and that's not good. So I want to replace that cord. Well, I'm going to replace that cord whether he likes it or not, because that's a potential fire hazard. So zooming back out, I just realised my Steve's donation there. Thanks again, Steve. They've got balloons and a one symbol there in the background. Apparently it's my channel's birthday today or yesterday, I forget which. But you can see there the ripped up foil, and that foil's gone, so whoever ripped it off has ripped it off proper, which is good because you don't want foil floating around inside an amp. Over here it's a bit chewed up as well. So someone's been in here before and taken this chassis out before. I wonder what for. Don't know, because everything looks bone stock. Oh, that would have been, yeah, duh. That would have been when he changed the speaker. He would have taken the chassis out. You've got to get to it, so that would have been the user. So what I might do is put some new bits of foil. There's no real need to have foil on this side where the mains is. I suppose to shield it from other devices, but you know, every man for himself. Every device should be shielded. But on the input section, it does make sense to have a bit of foil there to just give you a bit of shielding, because that's where the input jacks are. Alrighty then. So let's take the valves out. From memory, these are okay. On black plate things. Groove tubes. Ones that came with it, likely. I'm going to replace the plate resistors on the whole amp, because the carbon film ones like to go open circuit, noisy, or well, yeah, those two symptoms. The ones on the phase inverter seem to go open circuit, and then you either get half a waveform or no signal. So we'll change them out as a matter of course as well. It's all part of the Works Burger for this amp. Right, so we're holding on by 2 screws, but also the reverb cable, so we'll take that out. I think I'm still a little bit bright there, aren't I? There we go, it's a bit better. My skin's pale enough how it is, I don't need it to be exacerbated by overexposed video. We'll take the reverb tank out because there is no, one of the annoying things in these ones is there's no jacks on the reverb cable on the chassis end, only on the tank end, so you've got to take the tank out and disconnect it to get the chassis out. I didn't used to do this, take the whole chassis out. I used to work on these things in the box, just flip the board down, but I had a few that had funny noises and stuff, and it turned out to be the baffle screws were done up by some anemic fuck at the factory. So I take them out now and just check everything, just give the thing a good vacuum too. It's covered in like dog hair and fur and stuff. That shit can find its way into the back of the speaker cone and rattle away like crazy as well. So it's good to just take the thing apart, have a look. Have a look, have a look, have a look. There's a bit of rust in this. It's funny, you don't normally see rust on the inside. Normally you see it on the outside. The outside's pristine. The inside's got rust. Looks like some chemical spray or something, like something splashed in there. Could be from the factory, who knows. The springs are intact and there was no reports of any problems with the reverb, so we'll just disconnect this tank and put it aside. I'll clean the tank bag properly as well, since he is going the whole hog on this. Right, this is the typical sort of condition the bags come in, with little dust bunnies hanging on everywhere. A little bit of foil there from the chassis coming out. So yeah, I'll just give them a proper vacuum and wash, because that's gross. I like to give them back in pristine condition, where budget allows. Sometimes someone's complaining about spending $50 on an amp, so you give them the bare minimum. I try not to take those jobs these days because your name's attached to that job. It doesn't matter how much you charge for it. If your name's attached to that job and it's not great, even if you did it for free, word will spread. Jerry, did you send me an email, mate? I just saw that this morning. I didn't have time to read it yet. I use fine mesh aluminium instead of foil. Staple the crap out of it. Oh yeah, like the fly screen mesh stuff things. And go up on its side again for this so the chassis doesn't fall down. Yes, I said chassis. Working in a dark workshop. I think must have been a goth. Must have been a goth in a past life. That came out pretty easily, so I've got a feeling that it was just a bit misaligned when he pulled the chassis out the first time, because those ears that I'm talking about, which I'll show you in a sec, they're not bent out too badly, so I think we can yeah, we'll give them a bit of a bend back in just to save the foil. Once we put the new bit on there, we'll give the cabinet a good clean. Alright, so there she is, in all its glory. There we go. That's the outside. Often these are pretty like cobwebbed up and stuff, but this one's looking okay. Alright, so just having a visual inspection as always. This one was still functioning pretty well. This is one of the rare cases that someone's brought something in before it completely has died. Pretty much every job that comes in here is completely failed by the time it gets here, and you ask them, like, you know, is it playing up or something? They're like, yeah, it's been making weird noises and doing stuff for like the last couple of years. And you're like, whoa, would you drive your car around if it was making a weird noise for a year? You'd take it to the shop, wouldn't you? But also you'd have a maintenance schedule, which no one does for amps. Very few anyway. I've got a couple of customers that do that, bring it in every 3 years for a check over or something. It's not a bad idea. I'll generally give people like that a reduced rate because they're preemptively maintaining their equipment. Tell you what, let's just cut that lead off. I don't like it. It can go away. Only a couple of bucks for a lead, and I'm not risking someone's house going on fire just to save them a couple of bucks. Yeah, they do get hot. We'll run over all the stuff that is an issue with these momentarily. Michelle should be back in an hour or so with a burrito. I am a burrito based life form, so I need to replenish. Went to the brewery last night around the corner. Mountain Culture Brewing at Emu Plains. Bloody nice brewery, that one. Brother got denied service like he does every time he goes out. So, we have a raised resistor here that doesn't look stock. It probably is though. We've got our usual IC caps, so we're going to change them out. Those Velcro wraps are like 20 cents. Yeah, why don't people just use them? Yeah, I sell packs of them. Well, when I say sell, no one's bought any. They just wrap them around their arm, and that's what happens to the lead. Included a photo of internet famous. Yeah, I saw that. That's what I saw. I was still half asleep when I read your email. Yeah, that's interesting. Feel bad for him or her, but I guess they're living their best life, whatever. What's my favourite beer style? It's a toughie, Mark. It's like asking who's your favourite kid. Probably my favourite beer is Sierra Nevada Torpedo. Yeah, Sierra Nevada Torpedo. It's got this spiciness that none of the other IPAs have. They've really perfected that one. I love it. But I'm not just an IPA guy. My favourite beer style is vodka. Right. On a hot day like today, I do prefer a lager or a Kolsch. The IPAs can be a bit heavy on a hot day, so you like something a bit lighter and fresher. Even some of the Japanese beers that normally I'd turn my nose up in the hot weather, they actually go down better than an IPA. They're more refreshing. So like the Sapporos in those big ass steel cans, they're cool. But generally it's IPAs, pale ales, or German style wheat beers. They're my preferred. But then on a cold day in winter, I like a big heavy stout or a porter. So yeah, get a PBR in you. What's that? PBR. Fuck, I should know that. PBR. Reaching out for my scuba knife to clear out my eyes. Yeah. Oh, have a good walk, Jerry. Yeah, pale ale. Yeah, probably. If I had to have a desert island beer that I had to drink forever, probably just pale ales, Mark. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Fuck that shit. Have you guys seen Blue Velvet? Heineken. Fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon. When you say it's a bubblegum beer, do you mean it's artificially sweetened? I love Blue Velvet. It's such a messed up movie. Is that David Lynch? I can't remember. So we need to remove the knobs, the knobs. So let's do that. So many good quotes from that movie. A lot of them were used in Anthrax recordings. I think Attack of the Killer Bees, they used lots of samples from Blue Velvet. Yeah, Lynch, yeah, it was Lynch. That's why it's so fucking weird. Like Eraserhead. Have you ever watched Eraserhead? God damn. That was... yeah, it makes you not feel good. Eraserhead, man, that movie is messed up. What kind of person writes that movie? You seen Naked Lunch? That's almost as bad. And they're seen as like masterpieces, these movies, and I'm like, whoa, are we watching the same movie or what? Naked Lunch, god damn. It changes you forever and not in a good way. All my goth friends watched it. Yeah, it's such a... it just makes you feel ill a bit. It's not even like a gross out. Well, it is a bit, but it's not. It's like psychologically messed up. Anyway, The Thing, yeah, that's like C grade that ended up being a cult thing. Or The Room, the worst film ever made, The Room. It's become a cult classic now. So good it went straight to video. The Thing. Didn't they do a remake of The Thing? It was the original with Kurt Russell was the best. What size are you, Jack? I should know by now. Sound like Biden. What size are you, Jack? Ah, it's the two, right. Seppo sizes, 9/16 and 5/8. That's our two jack sizes. You got one type of jack for the FX loop, and you got one type of jack for the. That was good, wasn't it? That's immature. It's got a 3/8 bloody coupling. Yeah, it's a movie so good they had to remake it twice. Oh, the Kurt Russell was a remake, right? So it was like from the 50s or something, was it? As soon as, you know, they developed movie making, horror movies started almost immediately, didn't they? It's like Black Sabbath, all their imagery is because people love to go see horror movies, and they realised that and thought, well, yeah, I know Scarface is, yeah, I've heard about that. What was the other one that was a remake that no one really knows? Oh, Ocean's 11. Well, everyone probably knows that. It was in the 60s. The Italian Job, that's another one that's been remade like 10 times. Love Hammer. sounds like a Spinal Tap song or album name. Oh, there's two washers on that one. Fender was feeling saucy that day. There's no other missing washers, so they've accidentally put two washers on one pot. Alright, we'll take the screws out. I'll put these sockets aside because we're going to need them later for reassembly. we're not quite at the point where I'm going to fire up the soldering iron, but we're almost there. We need to remake a Spinal Tap. Yeah, who would act as them though? They'd probably put Jonah Hill in it because he's in everything. They're making a sequel. Oh really? Just saw Rob Reiner is. Huh. Rob Reiner. So is he brothers with Carl Reiner? That was in not brothers. Brothers? Oh that standoff's loose. We can't undo the screw. Carl Reiner and Rob Reiner. Carl Reiner was the guy who acted as Saul out of Ocean's 11 remake. I love that movie. So I'm just holding the standoff with pliers. That's his son. Right, okay. So that's Carl Reiner's son. Yeah. Don't let him ever say that nepotism isn't a thing. What do they call them? Nepo babies. I love Carl Reiner. He's such a good actor. I want the last check that I write to bounce. Alright, just got to give everything a bit of a massage to help the board come out easily. The main thing is the wiring for the transformers gets in the way. Normally they're not this hard though. Something's holding on. Normally they're a lot easier than this to get out. Come on, you bastard. Think positive, Brad. Don't want people accusing you of being negative in YouTube comments. Everything's fantastic. Alright, so she's out. Shazam. You've got the usual heat damage around the low voltage supply, so that's one of the things we're going to address while we've got it open. Input jack sockets and the effects loop and foot switch sockets look okay, like the solder joints do. Someone's touched up some stuff because you can see some flux on the board, so I think this has been taken out to be reflowed a few times, or probably just once. And you got the heat where it's almost destroying its own solder connect. This is all typical stuff. This is all standard. And they keep making the same amp over and over and over and over again without addressing any of it. So there's a massive dropper resistor that's dissipating quite a bit on the foot switch circuit for some reason. I don't know why they've designed it the way they did, but Fender's Fender. And it gets so hot that it melts its own solder connections. You can see how crusty they are there. And that one's actually got a semicircle around it. Is there enough room for switchcraft sockets? No, there isn't, unfortunately, not on this one. If they had the type, I'll grab some to show you. So, these ones, have a go at them. Where are we? There we are. Will you focus? Will you focus? Let's go manual focus because you're hopeless. Alright. Here we go. Look at that, manual. We're out of the focus range. But you can see here how close the bushing is to the board. It's like 1 or 2 mil above, or 2 mil above it. Yeah, focus. With these ones, there's a step. Now these are the ones I use in the Blues Junior. So there's enough room there to fit a switchcraft jack in there. Your standard, you know, open frame jack. But on these ones you can't unless you chop that section of the board out. And there's other traces and stuff there. It's pretty messy. I don't like cutting up circuit boards. So, oh god, yes, camera. So I just reflow or replace them as required. I'm so glad you sold your MiG 50 years ago. It needed all new pots and switches. Yeah, I've heard that their pots are really delicate. Like you can't do anything and they just fall apart. But having said that, when they all hand wired, so you could just, that's a pretty trivial job there, Scotty. Should be able to handle that, shouldn't you? I think Tube Amp Doctor do pot kits for them, for MiGs. Probably for that reason, because they're so delicate. So let's fire up the soldering iron. Let's start, well that heats up, we'll start snipping out all the stuff we're going to change. They were plastic, plastic shafted or conductive plastic? Conductive plastic are very high quality pots generally. Square plastic, oh okay. The body of them was plastic. Yeah, that's a bit chintzy, isn't it? But no, it's very good. It's very good. YBA, we can't be negative. Everything's good. So, yeah, I was considering, with the hate mail and just the general trolls, I was thinking about making the live streams a membership only thing. But I don't like the exclusivity of it. I like anyone being able to join in the conversation as long as you're a subscriber. But really I think I'm going to have to do something, just have a token amount there so the trolls aren't even going to pay 50 cents to watch my videos, so it'll just keep the trolls out. And it'll be like Patreon, I guess, but I'm noticing a lot of YouTubers are still using Patreon. Not a lot have moved to the YouTube membership thing. So I'm wondering if there's some like caveat that I haven't realised why maybe it's not the best idea and Patreon might be better. But it's not so much the amount. I could put a 1 cent membership up. I think there is a minimum set by YouTube, but it's the actual motion of going through and paying that amount that the trolls just won't do, because they just want to come in and shit on you and then walk away. And if they've got to do anything, because they're people that are I think we just dropped the pad there. Yep, they're people that aren't happy with their own life, so they just want to go and shit on everyone else's life. So they're that lazy that they can't make their own life satisfactory, so they're lazy people. So if you put up any barrier to entry at all, like it could be a blade of grass, they won't step over it. So like a 1 cent membership would be enough to keep them all out. They're not moving to YouTube because they take a big cut. Okay, so is that the content creators that do it for a actual, like that's their income? Because I'm not one of them. I don't care how many views I get particularly. I just care about my little family and hanging out with you guys and having a chat. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to make money. I'm using the money as a barrier to entry. That's what I'm proposing. To keep the dickheads out. So it's our little club. Problem with YouTube is there's no barrier to entry. There's no membership questions. There's no reputational stuff there. Like you can only enter if you're admitted by someone who we can trust. Everyone's just open slather, so you just get a massive amount of fuckwits. And the membership might be a good way to keep them out. They can go and watch cat videos or something, whatever they do with their time. I don't care. We're cutting that one out because that is a 47 microfarad. I'm going to take that down to about 2.2 or 4.7. You definitely pay a buck. Thanks, man. Yes, it's totally income based decision. Okay, so there's no functionality issues with the membership thing. It's just that they're not making enough money. Maybe they should get a real job. I wonder if they ever thought of that. You'd have to be a little bit not quite right in the head if you think that YouTube's a way to earn a living. Alright, let's get my chisel. What else are we changing? So that, I think, did I quote for the radials? Generally the radials don't fail on these things. It's just the axials from IC. The radials from IC seem to be of a higher quality. I'm not sharing my accounting software password, am I? Nope. Just do ASMR, easy living. Well, unfortunately I'm not a large-breasted 20-year-old woman, so I can't really do that, Scotty. It's not really in my repertoire, that one. Hey, power to him, eh? Please confirm my email. Yes, click here to confirm. Thank you, Tube Amp Doctor. Tell me when your pots are in. Stop jerking me around. Currently not available, possibly never will be. Oh, I've got to do my tax. God. Explain to my tax agent why I don't make a living wage again. Do it for the guys, bears then. I'm still getting over the shop teacher. So when you guys say shop, are you talking woodworking? Why do they call it shop? Is it because it's called wood shop? Wood shop, not chop. Someone is looking for a schematic. Can I help? Maybe later. We'll see what happens. Yeah, joinery, metal shop. Yeah, wood shop or metal shop, but you just call it shop. So is it both over there in high school? Because we had two workshops opposite each other. We had a metalworking shop. I love the smell of that place. I think it was the like lubricant that they use in the chop saws, like the slow what do you call it, cut-off saws. That lubricant, I think, was the smell of the metal shop, and I love that smell. Reminds me of my uncle's metalworking shop. It was in Penrith when I would go there as a kid. Pottery shop and glass lab. Yeah, we had sort of the metal shop and the wood shop, I guess, at one end, and then further up it went progressively more arty. So you'd have the art that was still cool, like the pottery and shit where they had the kilns and stuff. And then you went back and it ended up being like, you know, sewing. It went from, like, it was funny, it's like they planned it to be like real manly and then real girly up the other end. They like progressively went between the two different. Not that, I mean, shit, I know some diesel mechanic women that would fucking snap you in half. It's the sex-based thing was so, ugh, it was a hangover from the previous generations, I guess. But I didn't mind sewing. I thought that was good. It was therapeutic. There's also the fact that my sewing teacher was really hot, so maybe that had something to do with it. She held me back after class once. I thought I was in trouble, but it was just because I was wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt and she wanted to talk about music. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm in with a chance here. Back in the day. Back in the day. I wonder what she's up to now. She'd be in her 60s now, probably. Oh, God. Alright, soldering iron's hot. Techs that are prepared to share their work are proud of their work. Unfortunately, dealing with the public is hard work. Yeah, it can be. I've had a pretty good run. I've only had 2 or 3 massive cockheads in my whole career. Amp career. In the joinery career, every second person's a cockhead. So I've cut off the component leads from the top. And now we're carefully trying to not destroy the pads. We're being very quick. We've got slightly reduced heat, sitting at 350C. And I'm going to grab my tweezers and get the remainder of the leads out of the holes. This is sort of the best way to do it without damaging the pads any more than the excessive heat already has. We've already destroyed one of the pads for the Zener diode. We're going to put new Zeners on that have longer leads so we can lift them off the board. This is just me repeating myself from the last 500 of these repairs. Same shit, different day. Victor, how you going, brother? Aloha. How's Hawaii treating you? Were you anywhere near the lava flows and that, man? I would love to see an active volcano, but obviously not if my house was under it. So my thoughts go to them. But there's that word again. It would be something to see, something to behold, that's for sure. Now, because this board's used for the DeVille as well, there's some unpopulated capacitive positions. So you've got to sort of look at which ones we use and which ones aren't. Like those ones are just like little domes, so you can tell there's no lead coming through. And that one's just little domes, but this one has got the lead remaining. Oh, wrong one. That one. Need a bit more solder here. Just getting a bit dry. And one more at the other end. Sounding a bit like Bob Ross there. And little cap leads. Remove the little cap leads. Wrong island. Oh, okay. The glow of lava at night is a sight to be seen. Yeah, it's like fire, bushfires here over the mountains. It's pretty scary, but it is beautiful. Just like Jennifer Coolidge. Wrong island. So, which island was it again, Victor? Which island are you on? I hate to tell you, Victor, there is a joke over here that we call someone a Victor. Every Aussie already knows what I'm talking about. To any Aussies in the stream, what does it mean when someone calls you a Victor? Actually, no, don't answer, Australians. anyone else overseas that isn't an Australian, tell us what you think we mean when we call someone a Victor. Good on you, Victor. It's a guess. I wish I could start a poll that had like multiple can we do a poll? Volcano on Hawaii, Big Island. Ah, it's on the Big Island. Oh. Phone call. Chris, how you doing? Not bad. I'm back. Yeah, just had a phone call. It's another Messa Boogie job. It's always going to be Messa Boogies that need repairing or redesigning. That one was an M9 carbine that is overheating. Probably just from shit thermal design, but we'll see what's going on. Oh, jeez. It's time for an intermission. I know you just had one, but I didn't. I was on the phone. I wish I could give you a backing track, like elevator music. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Do you want to listen to the radio for a minute? We'll see what's happening in ABC News.
You know, train hard now.
It's football,
just
sports
try and
news.
move on from these past 2 tests.
There you go.
And just keep focusing on just improving himself and
Test cricket.
find a way to get into the selector's eyes a little bit more and get in front of the captain and bowl to the batters and find a way to just, you know, impress himself as much as he can. That's probably about all he can do.
You're hearing from Nathan Horrocks with Quentin Hull on Grandstand on ABC Sport. A broad-ranging question, Ritzy, and you're now in high-performance setup over in Ireland, trying to continue to create things there. So you've been a player, you know how high-performance structure works. I don't think Australia can expect to be as good when it comes to creating or nurturing spinners as India is, just because of the pure nature of the pitches that we play on. But what, from state level, from the way that state captains use their spinners, to selection policy and preparation, what could Australian cricket do better for its spinners?
Oh, look, I think, you know, look, I was still there at Queensland and I watched a lot of their cricket at the end, and, you know, Usman's an amazing captain and he looks after the spinners well, and well managed by, you know, Queensland cricket through Chuck, and, you know, Benny King set up high performance there. I always felt that the spinners are getting a pretty good crack. And I actually do feel in Australia now they are getting a very good crack, but probably the major difference is the fact that, you know, look, we just don't have the wickets to bowl on, and, you know, when we are playing on these wickets, you know, like Marnus is a perfect example. Marnus is an incredible player of spin. You know, they put him on those wickets, it's really tough, you know, look, and he's the best player in the world, and, you know, it takes one ball to get these guys out. And when we don't, as a spinner, when we're not practicing on that sort of environment.
All right, shut up with your cricket bullshit. The older Messa is better. No Messa is good. Sorry. That's me being negative. No, it's me telling the truth. No Messa is good. It may sound okay for certain applications, but they're certainly not built to last. Ask anyone, I'm not the only one. So, back to work. Right, it must sound weird to hear foreign radio. I know when we were in France it was pretty weird. Roy and HG back this year, didn't one of them get treatment for cancer or something? Or am I thinking of someone else? Made some iced tea. Shouldn't hold it over an amp, I know. Love to hear radio. Yeah, it really blooding on the blind side. Yeah, it really hammers home that you're in another country when you hear their radio. I don't know what it is. TV's like because we've all got YouTube now. But when you're hearing their AM radio in another country, they're really, like, their talkback really hammers home that you're somewhere that's not home. Oh, that's what I've got to check. What is it? 12:30. Where's my burrito? Do we have any storm activity yet? It looks sunny but hazy outside, and there is currently no storm activity or significant rainfall. I'll keep an eye on the radar throughout the day, and we'll just check that if it starts kicking off, I might take this for a bit of a storm chase. What do you reckon? I'm having trouble streaming anything in high def. However, you probably noticed that in one of my bushwalking things. That was in the bush, so like of course it's going to be shit reception, but I think I might know a way of broadcasting fucking 4K good audio, same mic here, 4K video. I'm going to try it anyway. We'll see how we go. The problem with doing shit on the cutting edge of what's possible with streaming is no one really knows if you can do it, because you don't. It's so many factors that it relies on, like your internet connection, the speed of your phone, the video processing availability, like from YouTube. Like, will YouTube, if you've got perfect data, will YouTube still receive it? That kind of thing. Watched a bit of your guys' country music awards the other week. I know the guy who mixed the live stream, and it was so weird. Golden Guitar Awards. Yeah, that's Tamworth. Tamworth is our Nashville. It's the country music capital of the country. Yeah, that's right. Ever heard of an amp named Sano? No. Yeah, our country's actually, a lot of our country's actual country. A lot of your Nashville bullshit is overproduced fucking pop music about trucks and fucking girls. Our music's tends to be about hardship and it's cars and girls. Same shit, but I don't know. Every country's got its overproduced country music, it seems. I can't stand most of the Nashville style shit. It's pop music with it's pop music with jeans, you know. What am I looking for? Chisel. So what is the Sano amp? Sano. Yeah, I don't like that with country music, when they sing with a fucking American accent. You got to find a different artist, man. That's what it is. You find the real country music artists like John Williamson and stuff, and they don't sing with an American accent. It's like rock bands and stuff. Like, you hear punk bands and they try to sound like rock bands try to sound like American as well. Punk bands and stuff. But then you listen to a band like yeah, no one's guessed what a Victory is yet. I'm waiting for someone to guess. Then there's bands like Friends of Rom, that overtly Australian accent. It's kind of a thing, because you're growing up listening to so much American and UK music that you just naturally gravitate towards that American accent while you're singing, and it's a thing. And those who usually takes a fair bit of courage to do it, because commercially it's not as viable, unfortunately. But then there's other bands that just sing with an overtly Australian accent. Can't find a schematic for my model. Sano amp. Is that a guitar amp? Or is that a hi-fi? Just sharpening up the, freshening up the chisel a bit. Had a few little nicks in it, and I don't want to put scores in the board, so just taking them out. Amel and the Sniffers, yeah, they're finally breaking ground overseas. I love it. So we've just got announced the other day that Smashing Pumpkins are hosting a festival literally around the corner, and I'm not in the city. This is westy fucking suburbs, low socioeconomic shithole, and Smashing Pumpkins are doing a friggin' festival around the corner, and I'm gonna go. And Amel and the Sniffers are playing there. They're one of the bands on the bill. I can't not go to a festival in Penrith. That's like unheard of. I wonder why Billy Corgan chose Penrith. Like, did someone tell him Penrith taking the piss and he thought they were serious? So they're doing one in the city as well, I think at Moore Park or somewhere. That's like our Hollywood, I guess. That's where a lot of TV shows are made. But that's an all ages show, so no booze. The one out here is 18 plus. We went to see Smashing Pumpkins in the city. It was one of the last shows at the entertainment centre before they ripped it down, put fucking apartments there like they always do. And they played their new album almost in full for the first set, and everyone was getting the shits. Everyone was like, fuck this, I want to hear the hits. So people were leaving, they were walking out, and then they had a brief intermission, came back, and then they played nothing but hits, and all those people had already left. That's what you get for being impatient, dickheads. I paid $150 for a ticket, and all they saw was the songs they'd never heard. I like it when bands play their new stuff. They should always do that. They're proud of it. Alrighty then. Let's see how I put my guess in the poll. Yeah, how do you do that? Sorry, I've never done a Q&A before. Yeah, that didn't really work as expected. So, to be a Victor, a bit of backstory required. So, we Australians, not we, because I didn't exist yet, invented the rotary mower. We liked rotary things, so we invented the Hills hoist, which was a rotary clothesline, and we also invented the rotary mower, which we all know and love. Now, the brand that developed the rotary mower, at the time, I think all they had was two-stroke engines, and the brand was Victor. And Victor is in a name, but also is in victory, right? And because they only had two strokes, started nicknaming people Victor who have problems with premature ejaculation because they're a two-stroke. So there you go. That is why you call someone a Victor. Yeah, righto, you two-stroke. So now you know. Alright? Good on you, Victor. And if you get that nickname from a woman, oof, that's like, you never recovering socially from that one. You're always going to be a Victor. The old lawn boy, two-stroke walk behind mowers. And that's you. Well, sometimes it's good, right? You get to go back to the party. Fucking hell, I hope Michelle's not watching. Alright, silicone. I've got not enough caps. Where'd the third one go? I'll just get one more. Must have only grabbed 3 in total. We need 3 22 microfarads and 1 47 microfarad. Get it done. That's right. Yep. So I've got Tube Amp Doctor Gold Series axials. They're my preferred everything at the moment. Tube Amp Doctor, I'm in love. I'm in love with Tube Amp Doctor. They're about half the price of F&T's. They look pretty, and they're very reliable, and they're 105 degree rated, which F&Ts are not. Well, most of them aren't, some of them are. Availability of F&Ts is sometimes a bit spotty, whereas these seem to be Mr. Reliable. So, joy. Just use a screwdriver to form the leads. I don't like sharp corners. See a lot of these boutique guys that just bend shit as sharp as they can to look pretty. That's just nicking the lead and asking for a failure. Form over function and whatnot. A bit of neutral cure silicone in a very small bead on the bottom. Value facing up for future generations to marvel at. Nope, wrong slot. I didn't clean up the solder on that one. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. That's what happens when I get phone calls. I lose focus, lose focus. Two-stroke. You're doing something that cuts the line under your groundwork with a Sheila. Yeah. He's a victor. He's cutting your grass. Just use my finger for these ones because they need a bit of extra lead length. For some reason Fender put the pads about 1 kilometre apart. I was listening to, or watching, but listening to in the workshop at home the other day, the Tone Talk episode with James Brown. Not ha, watch me, but the James Brown from Peavey, and man, that was a good episode. You guys should watch that. Instead of whinging about classic 30s construction methods, listen to his story. He's a very, very cool guy, and that was an excellent episode. Stories about developing the amps for Eddie and how much of a pain in the arse he was. And then he worked with was it Steve Morse, and then he was a breath of fresh air after trying to work with Eddie Van Halen and his fucking drug addiction and shit. Yeah, fantastic episode talking about the evolution of PV amplifiers. It was very cool. You should all go and watch that one. Give it a thumbs up, share it around, spread it like butter, as Alex, the French guy cooking, says. There's also another one I've got to watch about, what's his name? The guy from Fender that developed the Bassman, a bunch of different amps, but yeah, there's a guy from Fender on there as well. I think that was to do with the EVH as well. That's my next episode I've got to watch. Plus, you've got to watch the one with Jason Tong, the one with Lyle Caldwell. But if you're here, you've probably already seen them. Alright, so let's remove the leads. I'm flipping the board a bit too much. Let's focus and let's concentrate and do it properly. Removing that R97, I think it is, from memory. It's overheated. I'm going to put a new one on there, lift it off the board so it gets some airflow. There's nothing wrong with the design per se. It's designing as it was, it's operating as it was designed, but maybe it's dissipating a bit much. I can't remember. There's something to do with AC phasing on the foot switch circuit. I can't remember how it works. I've got to look back into it. But that resistance part of that dropper for that foot switch circuit. It seems to me like they could have done it a lot simpler, but I'm going to have to brush up on what exactly they did to achieve that foot switching, because it was something pretty complex. Op amps and shit. Yeah, I've only watched a couple too, Dustin. Yeah, Mike Soldano is another one I've got to watch. Mike seems like a really cool guy, someone you could shoot the shit with and get along with. I like Dave. The problem is, he reminds me a bit of one of my bosses, ex-bosses, who was an absolute fuckwit, and it's no no fault of Dave's, but he just reminds me of that guy. It just brings back bad memories. It's super unreasonable of me. It's like when you have a dream that your partner cheated and you wake up and you're angry at them. It's nothing to do with him. He's a fucking legend. He just reminds me of my old boss a little bit. But yeah, the Tone Talks are great. I love how casual they are, and they just chill out and have a chat and relax. It's cool. That's what I sort of like for this channel, right? Relaxing time. Said that Soldano said that Messa stole his circuit. Messa stole fucking everyone's circuit. The entire the entire architecture of a Messa amp is stolen circuits. Look at the stupid 2 meg grid stoppers they put in there. You know why that's there? Because it's a Fender Reverb mix circuit, and they don't know what it does, so they just stole it from Fender and put it in. And it's even on amps that don't have fucking reverb, so they steal everything, and it's obvious looking at their schematic. They tried to patent a fucking master volume, for fuck's sake. That's Randall Smith for you. Patent troll. Alright, let's put some 470k resistors in there. 470 ohms, sorry. We've got these nice lightweight ones which I like. Oh shit, am I out of them? Oh no, got 2. Gotta order more of them. Dr. Gear! But the spirit of shit in shit. Legal prowess is on point though. Well, fuckheads. Fucking patent troll pricks. Anyway, how's the shop move going, 6? 6 is moving to a swanky new store. It looks like a music store, not a hole in the wall. I'm jealous. I'm totes jelly. You got Is that an Australian thing? Yeah, they sue people for circuits in fucking RCA manuals. Yes, exactly. Almost 470, almost out of 470 ohm myself. Yeah, been pushed back another week. Insurance issues, and I still have no staff. Boom. What do you need sleep for, 6? Just fucking get it done, mate. My crimping pliers, every time I use these on stream, I get a flurry of emails asking where to buy them. That's what they do, and that's what they're called. That's the brand. Kyoritsu quality hand tool. PNG 5000, Papua New Guinea. Max 1mm copper wire. Use safety glasses, really? What's it gonna fly up in my eyes? Oh, that's for the Karens. Just finished 2.5 hours of teaching. Holy fuck, can you teach me some guitar? I'm playing the same riffs over and over again. Amp testing riffs. I'm just getting a bit tired. I need to work on my repertoire. Ow! Sharp. $12.51. Still no burrito. I need to make a formal complaint. I didn't have breakfast. I spent way too much on a pair by Excelite. I don't know. $70. Yeah, these were, I don't know. Yeah, they weren't cheap. They were still like 50 or 60 bucks, something like that. I bought a bunch. I have them listed on my website. No one's bought any. Because everyone kept asking, so I thought, well, fuck, why don't I sell them? So I'll buy them in bulk, sell a few. But then there was this one's beautiful. I thought, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll just get more of them. I'll get like 20 of them, sell them on stream. Everyone's always asking for them. Go to my website, buy them. But what they sent me is nothing like this, even though it's the same part number. These are made in Italy, yeah? And you look at the quality, and it's all nice and smooth. Because you don't want to put kinks in your cables, nicks in your cables, because that's a future fracture point, right? It's a fatigue from a vibrating amp will break it. So I order 10 of them, and this is what they fucking send me. So can you make that out there against my pale ass skin? Hang on, let's zoom in further. Too far. So they send me these. They've got like steps. See that? That's not round. They've fucked up the machining. It looks almost like it's wire EDM cut. Why would they do that though? So I don't know if that's like one big grinding wheel and like a large milling cutter or something. But whatever it is, it's missing a nick there. Or yeah, I don't know. It's like it was just done wrong. So I'm not going to sell that because that'll put a nick in every lead that you do, and then it'll crack on that point. And it says these are made in Italy, but the writing looks different. Like that looks to me like it's laser etched, and that's just screen printed. That goes in. That comes out. That's embossed. So I think I got fucked there. I think these are fakes, and these are the real deal. So I'm hanging on to this one for dear life. And I don't know what to do with that. I was going to round it over, but there's no material there, so I guess it goes in the bin. Fucking piece of shit. So then they sent me these. I didn't even order these, but these do the same thing, but then they cut the lead as well. But that's not even rounded. It's like sharp and square, so same thing. So I got really fucked on these. I should have sent them back, but I don't know. It was a big order, and yeah, that looking up close, that machining's dog shit. So I think these are fakes, and it sucks. Fucking shit. So I'll hang on to my good one, and I won't promote them anymore because they're selling crap. At least I got a good one. Good while it lasted, eh? Anyway, everything's fucking shit these days. Negative, Brad. See, if I was always positive about everything, you'd go and buy them, and then you'd fuck up your amps, and then you'd have the shits more than if I was Mr. Negative. Alrighty then. I'm going to change those two caps because they're in a forest of heat. Two radials. Yeah, that's what you get for speaking good about things. The next generation comes out, it's a utter dog shit, and then everyone turns around and looks at you and goes, "Oh, you said they were good." That's the voice. That's the voice all idiots use. So if you ever find yourself going, "Oh, I'm talking like this," it's because you're an idiot. Do you guys put on a voice when you're talking as if you're an idiot? 35 volt, 1000 microfarad. I am an idiot, so the voice comes naturally. No comment. Let's go for a 4.7 off the first bypass cap. So I might help here to see which components leads I'm removing. Just a bit of light under. We can see which component positions are vacant and which leads we've got to remove. I should put the BOFA on. Oh fuck. I just lost the BOFA.
How you going, champions?
Oh, that's gross. What do I put my mouth on that for? Lead flex strip. Yep, don't have any though. All the lead flex strip I had is part of the shop fitting now. Trying to find a suitable end camera that I can use for inside guitar repair work. Sick of feeling around the damn things when I do brace repairs. Tiny camera, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of prefer doing those things by feel, because yeah, I don't know. It's the whole depth perception thing. Just makes it almost not worthwhile. It's like those USB microscopes for SMD work. There's no depth perception, so it's almost like a hindrance. Need a stereo scope for them. I've got that centerfold song in my head. Blood runs cold. Oh shit. Angel is the centerfold. That's another good song. The song's about having a crush on a chick, and one day you open a porno and she's the centerfold. I've had cold chisel in my head all morning because I get a Yamaha CP7 inbound and it was used on East. Yeah, cool. Cold chisel's good, man. I love it. I'm going through a circus animals phase at the moment. It's sitting in the car. It's just been going around and around and around. CD, old school. Man, I love that album. The last song, track 10. This is a Hot Rod Deluxe, James. Great news, my parcel savings have increased. Oh, that's cool. Just got an email. Listening to the intro choir guy on that stereo trim. Yeah, man, they were an underrated band, eh? Well, not really, though. They got a fair bit of credit, but just the musicianship was fantastic. My blood runs cold. My memory has just been sold. Bing, 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 bing. Angel is centerfold. That's pub music here in Australia. Since when is a CD old school? Yeah, you are old, Jerry, because CDs are old school now. I've just been really trying to get back to listening to an album as the artist intended, from start to finish. Jay Giles, oh really? Jay Giles, what, he passed away? Oh, well, fucking... Here's me being positive and you being negative now. Jay Giles band. Freeze frame. Oh yeah, freeze frame. Hang on. Oh, 2017. Damn. American guitarist. Natural causes. Ah, 71. Yeah, it's not that old, really. As long as I never have to hear Crowded House. What? I love Crowded House. Come on, man. Come on, man. It's songwriting. Beautiful songwriting. Genius. He's got a great voice. Love Crowded House. Don't let Lyle hear you speak bad about the Finn brothers. He's a big fan. $100K resistors, metal film, 1 watt. What? Set fire, don't dream. Why'd you have to listen to it 15 times a day? Is that when you worked in retail? Yeah, well, that's why I can't stand Phil Collins. He's just resident weird throaty voice. and the fact that as a kid, when I started getting dragged to the shopping centre with my mum and my grandmother, that's all they'd play was Phil Collins. Yeah, Phil Collins' voice is an acquired taste, like caviar. I don't know. Hoodoo Gurus I could never get into either. They're just too goofy. There's no sort of coolness, it was all just goof. When Dr. Gear started on a shared premises with Somerset Music, the owner, you know him, refused to change the store playlist, and they were on store. Why would you? Oh, why would you play the same shit every day when you're a fucking music shop? God, yeah, the music here is so eclectic. I actually feel sorry for the customers. One day they'll walk in and it's industrial doom. And the next day it'll be like Miles Davis. And the next day it'll be like Japanese ambient music. I listen to different shit every day of my life. It's the only way to be. Uh-oh, we've got an amp problem. A couple of Gurus tracks that I like. They got old quick. Yeah, there was no depth to them. It was just face value goofiness, eh? I never really got into Hoodoo Gurus for that reason. But you listen to the songs, and they're good songs, but I don't know. I don't vibe on them. Hard to say I know, but I have a few amps that make an intermittent crackle sound even with the volume down, etc. So that's like crackling in the background, AM radio during a thunderstorm, sort of just low level. It's not the grid resistors, it's more than likely the plate resistors breaking down. So it happens very often on older amplifiers that have carbon composition plate resistors, and it happens on these with really shitty carbon film resistors. Carbon film resistors are good, but these ones are just shit quality. So they break down and they give you all sorts of crackling, or they just go open circuit. Scar is always good. Yeah, I love Scar. Nobody likes a bogan. Yeah. God, what was that band name? Nobody likes bogan. Area 7? Area 7. 100k plate resistors on Fenders, yeah. Check that out, James. It's kind of hard to test for. Best way to test it is just take them out. What amp have you got, mate? Like, other things can cause that. Valves can cause that. A bad preamp valve. In my experience, in the Fender stuff at least, it's almost invariably the plate resistors being shit. Nobody likes a burger. I don't mind, speaking of old school punk, well not old school, but yeah, now it's old school because we're all old, but Body Jar's new album was pretty good. I like that. A good band. I think the bass player left on it. Sucks because he was like the Aussie Flea. Not in playing, just the way he looked. Well, Flea is Aussie. I'm talking out my ass. Just ignore the last sentence, alright? Last subject. Messa dual rectifier. Oh fuck, all bets are off then. Solid state Marshall lead 12 mini stack. Right, well solid state's not going to be plate resistors then. Messa Blue Angel dual rectifier. Yeah, so the Messa might have carbon comps. Maybe not though. It's more than likely got those Dale carbon films, which are pretty good. look for fluctuation in each node's voltage, because it could be the droppers. I think a lot of those droppers, unpaid debt, yeah, fuck yeah, they were cool. A lot of the power supply node droppers in Messa's are carbon comp for some fucking stupid reason, so check them as well. But yeah, it could be something as simple as a preamp valve, but in a solid stator, all bets are off. Could be a bad op amp, could be a shit connection more than likely. Older solid state amps tended to be built down to a price, well, modern ones too, so the connectors may be not the best quality, so you might need to take them off, clean the contacts, reapply, see if that affects anything. After that, do some diagnostics if the problem remains. Coupling caps in the Messas, yeah. Tantalums, mica caps, yeah. Micas tend to present as a bit more of a violent sort of popping, almost like arcing. Well, that's what it is internally, I guess. Silver micas that say SM on the side are shit. Change them out or get rid of them or put ceramics. Anything's better than them. Ones that say CDM on the side are actually okay for a silver mica. I didn't want to use the silver mica in my Deluxe, but I was down the coast when I built it, and the only 500 picos that Dad had, because I ripped through his stash for the few parts. I built the board, the turret board, but the parts that were mounted on the pots and stuff I didn't have with me, so I raided Dad's part stash for them, and all he had was a silver mica in that value for the 500 or 250 or whatever it was pico. Got me silver micas here. I still do have some for vintagey type shit. Oh, wrong way. Yeah, these are old school, so these are some of these are new old stock from Dad's stash from the radio days. Dad's stash? Someone's stash? No, I bought them off a radio guy, that's right. He was selling a bag full of them just mixed for like 20 bucks, so I thought, oh, I'll grab them. So these ones are okay. I think you can get these from CE Distribution. See, it says CDM there. Cornell Dublier something or other. So those ones are okay. I don't think I've got any of the other ones I'm referring to as shit. I'll throw them all out because they're shit. I've got some monsters down here. What value are they? Oh wow. Sang. They do look cool. What's this big bastard? That big bugger. Still only 500 volter. Yeah, the coupling caps in Messas, they insist on using 400 volt caps where the DC across them is like 400. You should be like at least 20% higher in your rating than operating conditions. But not at Messa. Messa don't give a fuck about data sheets. If it's a 1 amp diode, why can't I get 1.5 amps out of it? I'm Messa Boogie. I'm art and engineering. So of course they fail, or they start in, the caps will crackle and leak, and you'll have runaway dissipation in your output stages. They leak DC. But what do I know? Because Messa are awesome. Just ask everyone. If you have a Blues Deluxe with a bad pad on the 470, I'm going to try the turret install. Yeah, that's if it's real bad. That's guaranteed to fix it. If you can get away with it, you can just do like what I'll do here. I'll show you in zoomed in, because we're replacing the cap as well. Forgot about this for a second. I'll show you what I do. Sorry, off topic. We watched a couple of video from Dead Kobe. Who's that? Explaining the dreaded standby switch, but he got into cathode poisoning, which I've never heard of. Cathode poisoning is not a thing on, or cathode stripping is not a thing on amplifiers that run under 5 kilovolts on the plates. Cathode poisoning, I can't remember off the top of my head if that's different. Alright, so dropping diodes. Let's form the leads on these diodes using the screwdriver. These leads are pretty chunky because it's a 5-watt device, so you want to get them right because there's not a lot of leeway. I'm going to lift these off the board as well, because they do dissipate quite a bit of heat. It's 1:15, still no burrito. It's a thing pushed by pitmen to sell tubes, yeah, probably. Don't know, never noticed it being an issue, but anyway. People will argue about this shit till the cows come home. And there's no real reason to worry about it. It's a moot point, who cares? I'll leave that lead long. Let's get rid of my spiky leads. I think the standby switch thing is just a thing that people make videos about when their channel's not doing well. it's just a clickbaity thing. Well, finally we end the controversy. No, you don't. You probably raise more fucking questions than you answered. It's just a thing that people repeatedly post, and then they do a thumbnail. Which is them standing there with a question mark above their head going like, standby switches, you know, the stereotypical YouTube soy face bullshit. It's me being negative again. I like your idea, 6. When people criticise your personality on YouTube, just go, yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm a horrible person. 100% agree. You are correct. You don't win anything, sorry. It's obvious. Alright, so now, lean right into it. Yeah, that's right. That's my boy. You're my boy, Blue. Right. Oh, too far. Oh, just focus, champion. Come on, you can do it. So now I'm going to grab my pliers, and I'm going to grab this lead from the cap, and I'm going to, this is what you can do if it's not quite bad enough for turrets, if you've only got 1 or 2 bad connections. That the main reason for turrets is because someone else has had a go at it and completely munted it. Yes, munted is a word. Alright, so we've wrapped that around that and the thing with the stuff. Might go that way. Yeah. So now we've got some excess lead there which we'll cut off. And we've just negated the need for that pad and that trace that's damaged. Now, depending on how bad it is, you might have to do that in multiple places. Just don't use a standby switch. The only reasons you need to use a standby switch, if you've got an amplifier whose capacitors are very close to the voltage rating, like a lot of Marshalls where they've got 500 volt caps and under load it's sitting there at like 475, 495 volts, probably because it's a 230 volt transformer that's being used on 240 volt mains. When there's no load, those caps will be exposed to a higher voltage than rated, so it might go up to 515, 520 even volts. If you've got a standby switch, you can allow the valves to warm up, so as soon as you flick the standby switch, they're conducting and they're sagging down that power supply under the rating. Alright, so that's one reason to use a standby switch, why you should. A reason why you shouldn't is some amplifiers, it depends on the amplifier, there's no hard and fast rule, which I think is why this is perpetuated for so long. There's no hard and fast rule because it depends on the application, and that's a complicated, non-simple answer, and everyone hates answers that have conditions. But that's life. So that's because the insane HT and risk of flashover and arcing. Yeah, so that's another situation, but that's a bit rarer. Another reason why the reason on some amps why you shouldn't use it is because there is no reservoir capacitor essentially. The only cap in the filter, let me start again. The first filter cap that's attached to the B plus, the transformer center tap, whatever, that's after the standby switch. And you've got a valve rectifier. Doesn't matter for solid state, who gives a shit. For valve rectifiers, if you overload them, they really don't like that, and they will damage themselves, and they'll arc, and they'll do all sorts of messed up stuff. In a rectifier valve manual, there is a capacitance, maximum capacitance. With sometimes he'll give you a few different configurations, like with choke, with resistor, with whatever. If you've got a pure capacitor and that's all the rectifier's seeing, that's the first thing the rectifier's seeing, it looks like a short circuit when it's not charged. So if you heat the thing up and everything's ready to conduct and you flick that switch, that capacitor charges up instantly like a short circuit and punches that rectifier in the face every time you do it, and will damage the rectifier. The rectifier might go short and then could deliver AC to the caps, destroy them, and cause all sorts of fucking chaos. AC30 with GZ34 works without standby switch with a slow warm up. Yeah, had one that blows fuses if you use the standby. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's one of the models. You said AD30, but you mean AC30, I think. So if you've got the standby switch always on, like you never turn it off, and you turn on the mains, everything slowly comes up, and as the rectifier starts conducting, it starts slowly trickle charging that first cap. So it only looks like a short circuit for a fraction of a second at a lower voltage, and everything comes up slowly, and it's all happy. Oh, the AD30, yeah, the orange thing. The same thing, yeah. Actually, yeah. Sorry, the AD30 is the exact same thing. Yeah, because I had one in for that exact same problem as well. It's almost the same circuit. On not the amp but the power supply, the start of the power supply. Oh, fuck, I've got to stop talking, I've got to do some work. Sorry champs. Talking shit. Talk amongst yourselves. Hot rod, yes. V4, what? Version 4. I don't know, they're all the same. More or less. Alright, that's everything. I'm going to clean up some of that coax because the soldering's a bit dodged. Then we'll take out the output, well, the valve board, and we'll change the plate resistors on there as well. So yeah, here's our rebuilt power supply. We've got the resistors up off the board. They're smaller resistors, less weight, and we've got the diodes up off the board as well with the kinks in them to limit the leads trying to go through the board. Got our new plate resistors in place and a new bypass cap down there, a little V-shape. Bugger it, let's take the bottom board out now. Spin her around. Change some things on the new one. That's chrome control panel. It's the earlier one, yeah. It's mainly cosmetics. The deceptive change they did to the Blues Junior to a cathode biased output without letting customers know. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't slather everywhere that it's fucking Class A, because everyone seems to think that cathode bias means Class A. What? I don't understand where they're getting that from. Who said that? Like, someone said that at some time in the past, and everyone's just run with it because they're just parrots. AC... Oh, fucking... The only Class A box is an AC4. Let's put it that way. Well, that domino base thing that I've got. AC30s, AC15s, AC10s, they're not Class A amps, they're Class AB cathode biased. The only reason an amp would be Class A is if all the valves, and you can have Class A push-pull, every valve has to be conducting all the time, 360 degree conduction, because it's more common to have cathode bias thing for Class A. Yeah, like our fixed bias isn't often used for Class A. Yeah, Class A means they're conducting the entire cycle of the waveform at all times. AC30s don't do that. You'd have to have a lower plate voltage to allow that kind of swing, and yeah, they're not in any way configurable to do that. It's all bullshit, mate. I can't read that resistor because all the bands are black now. So that's $97. I was right, my memory. As far as I'm concerned, all amps should be Class C. That's probably the grade I'd get if I did an exam. I have to venture into my schematics to remember what value that is. Schematics. I wonder how hot it is outside now. I can hear the cicadas going crazy, so it must be pretty warm. Fender. Duh. Hot rod. Download. Open. $1.2K. Right. Music man amps near Class C. Never worked on one. So Class C means that there is a point there where neither valve's conducting. Class C was, yeah, 10 and 50%. Yeah. So Class C is like for like RF stuff. Class D, yeah. So up to 10%. Waiting for the day someone tries to implement a Class D tube amp. I guess it's possible, isn't it? Fuck, you're just giving me an idea. 6. I use a gate driver and a MOSFET to drive that RCA 833. Oh, jeez. Wouldn't that be fun? That would make all the tube guys, huh? It's tube, but it's digital? What? What? It would be a hell of a thing. Alright, it's time for the radio again because I've got to go wee-wee.
Sporting field, then there's less likelihood that people will sit down and actually try to understand, well, why are we winning and what are the...
Are they still talking about cricket?
You know, the reasons for that, what are the key factors in there, what are the reference points that we actually need to maintain so that when we're actually not winning and things are not going our way, let's go back to those and see whether or not we're putting those in place. So, yeah, I think that's a reality. There are lots of stakeholders in the question anyway, so it's not just about players, and it's not just about the team, but obviously it's about media, it's about other countries, it's about spectators, fans, sponsors, you name it. So there are a lot of factors that go into this notion of scheduling and how best it can work for any team anywhere around the world at any time.
Always nice to hear your thoughts, John. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Will do. Thanks, Quentin.
Across Australia, this is Summer Grandstand with Quentin Hull.
Summer Grandstand
On ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
So, are we making it up as we go along, or has there been a plan all the way? The fruit will be in the results, with Australia to resume at none, or India to resume at none for 21 in reply to Australia's 263. Now, we're getting some news, waiting for confirmation from the Australian team, but this happened yesterday, and there were questions as to whether or not David Warner was in jeopardy of continuing in the test match. If you wonder what we're talking about, here's a reminder.
Siraj back over the wicket and hits Warner, trying to hook once again, and he's calling for the physio once more, and that one might have jumped up and cracked the grill of the helmet. Off the gloves, Warner spinning, the end of the 10th over, none for 26. This is torrid stuff out there, really hostile bowling from Mohammad Siraj.
It is, and he immediately called for the physio, but he's walking back. He seems to be walking all right. So where has he got hit? Or was he asking?
Right, shut up, radio. We're back. Yeah, Music Man had cathode driven output stage or something, didn't it? That's strange. They used transistors on the cathodes, yeah, to drive the current through the tube with the grids at a fixed positive bias. Yeah, that was weird. You're lucky though, it's freezing balls down here in Canada. I just looked at the thermometer outside, it's 38 degrees Celsius. Cathode driven and quasi-Williamson configuration is what it's called. There you go. Yeah, it's like, it's just being different for the fucking sake of it, eh? I mean, I don't think they sounded particularly, like, you know, they didn't have a super unique character, I don't think, from memory. It's not something I go, the Music Man sound. Everyone refers to like the Fender Twin sound or whatever, but there's not many people out there hunting for the Music Man sound. I mean, they're good amps, there's nothing wrong with them. I think the only issue that was sort of recurring on those ones was a bit of RF interference. Depending on where you are, like, they didn't have a lot of mitigation of RF. I think there was some grid stopping that wasn't quite adequate, and there was their op amps had no compensation or something. I can't remember. I'd have to go back through my notes. crimping tool used? There, oh, there we go. We've got our first person asking about the crimping tool. Just rewind, man. I'll go over it all. But yeah, every stream someone asks about them. Well, they're good, but they're speaking of, just about to use it. Ping. It's not really crimping, unless you're talking about my actual crimping tool. No. Okay, so this isn't really crimping. This is lead forming. That's probably why you're not finding the pliers, because you're asking for a crimping tool, and this isn't a crimping tool. This is a lead forming tool. There's another brand called Erum, which are made in Switzerland. They're very nice, but they're expensive. This is PNG 5000 made in Italy, but there are lots of fakes out there, which I just went over, and they're very shit machining, and they're not worth buying. They're worth throwing in the bin. These appear to be no longer available, and all that's available is Chinese-made shit that says made in Italy on it. Yeah, I should get an Amazon affiliate link, but I hate Amazon and everything they stand for, so Amazon can fuck off from my life forever. I've never used Amazon for any purchase in my whole life, and I never will. Jeff Bezos has more than enough money how it is, and he treats his employees like utter shit, like caste system, low class people that can't even take a piss without him having something to say about it. Never use anything from Amazon. Companies like Amazon just shouldn't exist. Stopped selling on there last year, yeah. They get real upset if you actually try to make money off them. They're there to make money off you and the buyer, and basically make it so it's barely worthwhile. I think Class A, it runs at 30 watt, Class AB it can run at 45 or 60 watt, or what? Class A, what are we talking about? Class A is 30 watt. What amp are you talking about? Because it sounds like you're getting swindled by the Class A Kool-Aid. Speaking of Class A, fuck. Do you remember that line 6 from the last live stream, the DT25? And the Class AB you can run tube, rectifier, or solid state. It sounds like you're being swindled there, James. It sounds like someone's saying something's Class A that's not. Can you tell us the amp model? So the DT25, I think I've got to the bottom of what the problem is. I asked the customer, I said, this could be 4 or 5 hours, because we can't run it and test it while it's together. We have to try and take the thing open and figure out what we have to do it all in one go, hope for the best, put it back together, test it, try and take measurements in the friggin' tube section chassis that you can't get into. But essentially what I think's happened, let's look at the schematic. Let's go on a side tangent. You guys want a side tangent? Give us a thumbs up if you want a side tangent. Whiplash. Whiplash! PNG 5000 got it. We'll keep an eye out for the real ones. In Canada we get supremely ripped off by the usual Electronics distros, hence the foraging at Amazon. Do you though? Do you really get ripped off? Or are you just buying quality when you pay the price? DigiKey, Mouser, Element 14, RS components, to a lesser degree C distribution, TubeWeb Doctor. They're pretty good price really for what you get. Oh, someone else calling me on my day off. Hello, Brad speaking. Alright, so did we get a vote for a side tangent? What's my pin number? I can't remember my pin number for my phone. Oh, okay, sorry, Mr. Fender Prosonic. Okay, right. So it's got different modes. I can guarantee none of them are Class A. I hate to tell you. Let's have a look at the schematic, shall we? Let's do the tangent. Alright, we'll do the first tangent, then we'll have a second tangent. I'll just download the Prosonic first. Prosonic. Not download, open. You know what I'm trying to say. No, that's Princeton. Alright, so first tangent, do a video showing the method of how the classes would apply in an amp. I'm pretty sure this heap's out there already, man. I think Uncle Doug has a few on that. See, it says Class A tube rectified 30 watt, Class A B 45 watt tube rectified, or Class A B 60 watt solid state rectified. So none of them would actually be Class A. Class A would be cathode biased, possibly with a switch. Class AB would be fixed bias with a valve rectifier having a bit of sag. Class AB 60 watt would be solid state rectified. The same circuit, just bypassing the valve rectifier with solid state, and that would give you less of a voltage drop, hence the slightly higher wattage. Class A, to be properly Class A 30 watts, your transformer would be the size of my fucking head, because you need an air gap there, otherwise the transformer saturates because of the DC present in the coil as it's biasing the thing. But yeah, Class A, it would not be. It would just be cathode biased, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid, calling everything cathode biased Class A, which it is not, because it's a marketing tool. Surprisingly, no. Oh, what, he doesn't have one? Yeah, right. I should get a high voltage probe for the scope and really show them how it works, just to really stick it to them. That's a good idea, Six. You should work on that. You've already got a high voltage probe, don't you, for your scope? What are we doing again? Yeah, DT25 side tangent. Okay, cool. So, desk chair. Bam. D25 schematic, line 6. Now, this is not simple. This is not trivial. So, this thing, there's the microcontroller. Oh, that's the DSP. There's a few legs on that little bad boy. You got SD RAM. You've got, it's basically a computer. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the issue is that it's intermittently going nuclear, right? So let's have a look at the output stage. So we've got everything's controlled by relays, and that's controlled by the computer. Everything's preset, right? So Class A, B, Class A. Class A it is not. That's a lie. What that's doing is changing the output stage from cathode bias to fixed bias. There's also a triode pentode switch, which I think is marketed as a half power switch or something, quarter power switch. So that changes the outputs screen grid, so it operates as a triode. You get reduced power, reduced output capability, I should say. You've got an output mute which lifts the cathodes to, I think that's all the standby does. It doesn't cut off the high tension, it just lifts the cathodes on the output so they can't conduct, and that mutes the output stage, and that's your standby. You've got a cathode resistor, 10 watt, 125 ohm, and you've got your bypass cap here, 100 microfarad, 160 volt. It's got this resistor here, which I'm not sure, maybe it's current limiting, maybe it makes this charge slowly so it doesn't pop, I'm not sure. But you've got this relay here which bypasses the whole lot. Now that relay here, you'll notice Class A, B, Class A bullshit, Class A, B, Class A bullshit, RE4C, RE4B. Now RE4A is the coil, because it's split into 3 parts on the schematic. I can't remember where that switching takes, but here it is. So RE4 and RE7 are triggered in the same manner by Q8, which is turned on by this signal line, right? Relay Class A, Class AB. That would come from one of the processors. Who cares? Let's just ignore that. Point being, RE7 and RE4 switch in tandem. So RE4, one of them goes from the grid leaks to either the bias supply or ground. If it's switched to Class A, you'll know that a cathode bias amp like the Deluxe we heard at the start of the stream, that doesn't have a bias supply, it's just grounded at this point. The grid leaks are grounded, and in cathode bias mode this would be switched to pin 5, so this would all be in circuit, and that would be switched to pin 4, so that would be grounded. So that would be operating as a cathode biased output stage. When you click this over, now the grid leaks go to they turn into bias feed resistors, and they get supplied by the bias supply, which is a conventional linear negative voltage supply like you'd find in any other amp, fixed bias amp, and all of this gets bypassed. And the only thing in circuit to ground is this when it's not muted, and these 1 ohm resistors which are used for bias sense via bias V2 and V3 test points, and that's your ground test point there, probably conveniently located nearby for checking the bias. Now if one of these switches and one of them doesn't, say this one stays stuck to 4, so it's grounded on the grids, and this one switches thinking it's going to fix bias, all of a sudden you've got no bias supply for the output stage, and she runs away and hopefully blows a fuse, but chances are damages shit first. If you've got this set to stuck on pin 3 and this stuck on pin 5, well now you've just limped the output of the thing, because you've got 125 ohms in the cathode as well as fixed bias. So what I think's happened is, yeah, this has stayed stuck to pin 4, or this has stayed stuck to pin 6, and that's blown up the output stage. Now, is that caused by the drive circuit failing for these relays, or is it caused by one of the relays themselves failing? So I had a look at the relays, and they are tiny. They are rated at like 12 volts on the contacts, which this would be probably exceeding. Certainly exceeding that with the bias supply. So the whole thing's just a shit fight of underrated components, and just trying to be everything to everyone at all times, which we all know that always makes you fall on your face. So I spoke to the customer. I said, look, can we lock this to cathode biased? So essentially it's like your Class A switch is always on, and that's safer. So I'm going to remove RE4. I'm going to hardwire that to the ground. I'm going to just leave that open, so this is always in circuit, so it's locked to cathode bias, and I think that's going to be the safest way to do it. And if we want to change the value of this resistor to cool things down, we can, and we're certainly going to change this resistor to limit the current to the screen grids like we do on all the L84s base amps, because they all abuse living shit out of the valves, and that's another level of safety. Alright, so that's side tangent 1 over. There must be a lot of things that claim to be Class A. Yes, there is. No, I'm just an idiot that attaches his probe to anything with a Leroy Jenkins approach to the health of it. Oh, so did you just like that side tangent, or did you all go? Did you all unsubscribe? Alright, I'm going to have a quick look at this ProSonic schematic now, before I go shooting my mouth off. Yep. The same deal. Yeah, the schematic's a bit shit, but I'll show you this as well. So on the ProSonic, same thing, DT25, that's right. So let's have a look at that one. Over here, you got the same thing, but it's just switched. Instead of relays, you've got your ground connection to the cathodes, right? So when you're switched on, it doesn't say what's what, but when you switch there, that'll be these two switches. So that's fixed bias, right? And you'd have a bias supply coming in here. So what is happening with the bias, right? Okay, so you got another switch over here that's feeding the bias. That's probably the other SW304C. SW304 looks like an A, maybe an A. So these are both the same switch. They're switching at the same time. The bias supply here. There's your bias trimmer. There's your bias. Well, there's your half-wave rectified supply with your filter cap. So on setting 9, that's supplying your bias here. Setting 8, it's supplying a lower, more positive bias voltage, because that's a resistive divider. So that would be hotter. So they're both class AB. That would be giving a hotter supply, because that's the, is that the valve rectified one? It's hard to know what all the switches are doing all at once, but because you've got this two halves here, so you got 1 and 2, position 1 and 2 are both valve rectifier. Position 3 is solid state rectifier. So yeah, all it's doing is switching from fixed to cathode biased, and there's your cathode resistor, same shit as always, 220 ohm, 15 watt. Got some protection there with that diode, and you've got 100 microfarad, 100 volt bypass cap. So yeah, same thing as the DT25. They're lying to you. It's not class A. It's not class A. It's just cathode biased. So the more you know. There you go. Just found out that I am the last tech in town that works on tube amps. Soon I won't be able to tell people take it to the other deck if I don't want to work on it. Spewing. Surely there's someone else that tinkers. It's just you want to send people there. In position 2, it's valve rectified at B plus, drops, hence the decreased bias voltage. Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, but like, just I don't know, just buy the amp you want, and instead of having every possible amp in the one box. I do like sound of cathode bias, but I do also like the punch of a fixed biased amp. But if you're going for the punch, you probably want the whole amp designed around that punch instead of just changing one element of the circuit. You want the whole architecture of that amp. With a cathode biased amp, you like things a little bit squishier. So 2 PM, still no burrito. Oh, is that burrito? Burrito's here. I think I'm going to go and eat a burrito, legends. Just go cathode biased. Yeah, it's safer, I guess. Got the natural current limiting of the bias resistor. Anyway, alright legends, I'm going to fuck off and eat a burrito and finish this amp off. Didn't think to do a proper video on this because I forgot to mention earlier my video editing PC shit the bed. I think it's a power supply. I'm waiting for a new one to turn up, so that's why I haven't been doing any videos. Plus YouTube's toxic and I'm too busy. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go eat a burrito, so take it easy legends. Thanks for joining us. Next time you might have to pay. Have a good weekend.